You continued to own GHI after you were elected. When did you step back from GHI operations?
Once I was elected in September of 2021, I sent an email to my lawyer who contacted Mr. Anderson's lawyer to let them know that I was stepping away from the company.
Okay. GHI claimed to be a wholly Indigenous-owned company in a bid made in June 2020. So you had not stepped aside at that point. You were involved in the operation of the company when it claimed to be fully Indigenous-owned. Were you aware of the bid made for masks from the federal government in June of 2020?
No, Mr. Anderson was uniquely and totally responsible for federal contracts. It would have been inappropriate for me to work on any federal contracts. I confirmed that with the ethics commissioner, and it was the same approach that I used.
Mr. Boissonnault, we're talking about a time. Let's underline the date, June of 2020. We're talking about a time when you were not elected. You have said, and this is obviously disputed, but you have said you stepped back from any involvement in the company after you were elected. But we're talking about a time when you were not elected, and therefore when the company was still claiming to be wholly Indigenous-owned. So in June of 2020, were you aware of bids, a bid for masks, to provide masks to the federal government?
Mr. Genuis, I've been very clear that I worked with the ethics commissioner, and I was very clear with Mr. Anderson that any federal contracts were entirely his responsibility.
And you're saying that that included the time when you were not elected?
Absolutely. There was a wall in our company so that I would not have anything to do with federal contracts. It would be inappropriate. I was still governed by lobbying provisions. I took my
And at no point in that bid did he ever even ask you if you were Indigenous? Just answer the question. Did he at any point ask you if you were Indigenous? How did he come to the conclusion that you were Indigenous?
He did not, and none of our company was certified Indigenous, so he should not have done this at all. And I'm glad that the provisions, the safeguards, prevented the company from getting.
So I guess we're to believe that Mr. Anderson sat down with the Liberal Party of Canada, and they both decided to falsely claim you were Indigenous without ever consulting you.
Thank you.